nobody, expects to have a child with special needs. Some of our families, they didn't know their child had needs until about the age of 2 and 3. So they'd gone nearly the first 3 years of that child's life, not knowing that their child had, something that wasn't quite right. And then they discover that their child is not going to fit into a mainstream world. It's, it's pretty heartbreaking. And all of a sudden now something as basic as, can they even play football? Probably not. There's nowhere for him to go. But now through us, we're like, no, there is a place for him to go. Come, send him to us. You're going to go watch. You will get to watch your kid play football. You will get to watch your kid play rugby. You're going to get your kid to swim, in a swimming gala. You will get to do that, because those parents deserve that. They deserve to be on the sidelines cheering on their kid like any other family.
Hello and welcome.
Thank you.
Hollie, welcome here, and thank you for coming. Hollie, you are very special in what you do in your personal life and in your professional life, and I would just like you to share it all. Just to get a little quick intro, you work with people
Yes.
with autism,
Yes.
but you don't work with them in their like kind of common environment, but you work with them as an athlete.
Yes.
Correct?
Correct.
Okay. So how that happened? How you got into this?
Oh, wow. So I work with athletes with cognitive and physical disabilities. So the range of athletes we have is from autism to Down syndrome, global learning difficulties, and so on. A big reason why I got involved with what I do was I had personal experience when I was younger, like 15, 16. I was playing sports at a very high level, but sometimes we got the opportunity to work with adults or people with special needs. And I actually saw the Special Olympics for the first time about the age of 14, back at home in Ireland. And I saw athletes with Down syndrome playing basketball, handball and other sports. So that kind of engaged my interest in this area. And then when I was training to be a PE teacher, so I was a physical educationist for many years, but when I was actually doing my teacher training, I used to volunteer a lot of my time to work with children who had special needs through sports. And then when I came over to the UAE as a PE teacher, I realized children with special needs, first of all, they weren't actually in schools. And those that were in the schools were never given the opportunity to participate in physical education or in sports in general.
Okay. And have you been working as a teacher at home as well in Ireland?
Yes, in the UK. In the UK. And then I did some sports coaching back at home in Ireland. So when I came over to the UAE as a teacher, this is nearly 12 years ago. So it's a long journey now. I've been here 12 years.
Okay.
So when I initially came over, even the whole idea of children or adults with special needs doing sport was a taboo. It didn't really exist. So I was getting more and more frustrated working in schools, particularly with kids who may have had additional needs like autism. And they were always being removed from physical education to work more on their academics or life skills, never really in a sports environment. So as time went on, I actually started to volunteer my services in the special needs centres, where I started to meet a lot of children and adults with special needs. And I just started to play like basic games, basic sports games like throwing beanbags, jumping in hula hoops. But I realized that the community really needed sports, and they needed something for these kids to have an outlet where they can just express themselves, help with their needs in terms of sensory needs and physical outlet. So as time went on, over nearly a stretch of a decade, I actually developed a program called Heroes of Hope, which is essentially a sports academy for kids with needs. So the whole concept is we are trying to offer them a mainstream experience. Like you and me, we get to go to CrossFit all the time. We can go down to the local football club and we can play football. We can go play basketball. However, for families and children and adults with special needs, that opportunity just doesn't exist. So the whole concept of Heroes of Hope was to give them that opportunity.
That's where you come in.
Yes, absolutely.
You giving the opportunity.
Yeah. So the whole idea is like any sports person, you're not really designed for one sport. So there's no point offering them just one sport. The idea is we're giving them that flexibility and that experience through lots of different sports to find their inner hero, to find their strengths. And then once they find that, they can focus on it and enjoy it even more. And it's our job as a coach to bring out the very best in them through sport. So that's kind of where we come in, and that's kind of what we're trying to do, is really bridge the gap between the mainstream world and special needs, and trying to narrow that, and people become a bit more open-minded and really see our athletes, for exactly who they are, which is they're very capable, they're very able, they just need opportunity and the right support to get them, active and involved in sports.
I have so many questions now. So I'll start with when you were back in UK.
Yes.
And working as a PE teacher.
Yes.
Was kind of, I don't know if I'll use the right word, integration.
Yes. Yeah.
Was the integration of these kids at a better level than it is here? Or it was also a problem there?
It was definitely better, if that makes sense. It was a little bit more visible. Like you could see it, and you could see people really trying, which was really nice to see that happening. Obviously this is going back now over a decade ago, so they were still at the foundation stages there too, but at least there was the mindset in the forefront was like, okay, let's try and integrate, let's try and bring children with needs and mainstream kids together, and that was being operated through schools, but when it came initially out here to the UAE, there was very much so that divide. And there's also a lack of awareness, I think, around people of determination, which they call it now here in the UAE. People with special needs are called people of determination. But at that time, people with special needs, genuinely, they didn't know what to do. They didn't really fit into the mainstream world, and they were pretty much put in the centres and not really doing much. But there has been a massive progression in the UAE now, and there's been a massive transformation, I think, in this area. So, there's major efforts being put into place, and they're trying to give people now with special needs a voice. They're trying to give them the opportunity of internships and getting them work placements. They are trying to grow the awareness. So there's a lot of people out there, similar to myself, who are activists kind of in this area, trying to build that, I suppose, again, it is awareness thing, but also education. So people are not afraid, or they feel a bit more comfortable to be around somebody who has got additional needs, and to see that they are just like you and me. And it's up to us to just have a bit more of an open mind and that flexibility to embrace them for exactly who they are, and enjoy being with them.
When we'll backtrack a little bit,
sure.
You said you were an athlete.
Yes.
What sport did you do? How you got into sport yourself?
Sport myself. My mother. So I was extremely hyperactive as a young girl, very, very hyperactive. And my mom had like 4 kids in the house, and I was literally jumping from the sofa to sofa, and she's like, right, I need to do something with this one.
That's why you do Spartan races now, yeah?
I do a bit everything at the moment. So my mom, at about the age of 5 and 6, she threw me into the local athletics club, and she was like, go there. And I was running like 4 or 5 times a week, and then naturally just being part of athletics, it made me very fit and fast, being honest, which was just a baseline to be able to do pretty much any sport. So then I started playing basketball, handball, rugby, you name it, I've done it. I've been a boxer. Like obviously now I'm involved in a little bit of CrossFit, but as a whole, like I've always put my hand at pretty much any sport. I've been a swimmer, it's any sport really, I've always just thrown myself into it. But for me, sport is like, it's a pure passion. And it's where I'm happiest, and I love the discipline and the structure of sports. So for me, it's not really a major effort. It's something that I like. It gets me up and get me out of bed in the morning. I'm very motivated and very focused when it comes to sport, and brings out the best in me. So being part of that is like my whole world. So I'm happy to be there.
So it's a little bit opposite than some people have it, right? Like they train or do fitness because they need to, and the rolling out of the bed is the problem.
Yeah.
And in your case, it's what rolls you off the bed. Yeah.
Love it. I absolutely love it. Like, so this is like, even now, like I'm coming obviously into the later stages of the sport, haven't played it like my whole life, but I still feel like there's still a lot more that I can do. There's still further opportunities in the sport. There's different areas that I really want to explore. So even this year, I gave myself the challenge of the Ironman. I'd never done Ironman before. So I'd never done a triathlon before. So I said, best way to start with the Ironman. Let's go.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I just feel like there's so much more out there. And I think we're in a world right now where sport is like, it just keeps evolving. It keeps changing. There's new goals. There's new styles of races coming up. There's new styles of training you can explore with. So for me, like the whole world of sport is actually endless. And I feel sport is now designed for everybody. It doesn't matter what, ability you're at. Like there is a place for you in sport, health and fitness. But it's just up to you to have that motivation or the mindset just to go for it and not to hold back.
Yeah, if you don't like one thing, just find something else, right?
Absolutely.
So when you say you were a swimmer, you were playing rugby, you were doing boxing.
Yeah.
What kind of like, how did it work? Like you, every half a year you changed because you like grew up of it?
Yeah, it's kind of
just wore out for
it.
You?
It was like just kind of the opportunities through, I suppose, the culture of sport kind of happened. So I've always ran. So I've been running since about the age of 6, and I'm still running now. That's my baseline. I love to go out and go for a run. I call it now mindful running. So when I go out now, I just kind of use it as a way to meditate, actually, just gather my thoughts, get myself into the right headspace, get rid of all the stress, try and not panic.
Okay, so when you do this kind of running now, what is the run like? You just go out and...
I could go for hours,
Yeah, I know you can. I know you can, but like, do you cap it, or you just like, okay, 30-minute run or 1 hour run, or you do also some intervals?
Yeah, it is very mixed. So I do have a running group as well that I work with. If I'm not always with them, then I will go by myself and kind of say, right, let's go for an hour today, and let's see, or I might say, put a kilometer in my head and go, right, I want to run 20k today. I'll go out there and I'll just do it. So it all depends. Yeah.
20k.
Yeah, I ran 7 marathons in 7 days last year to raise money for Here's a Hope and the Al Jalila Foundation. So running for me is like my
wow.
Yeah, it's just my my outlet, I suppose. And I find there's a lot of running is one of those tools that like anyone can do. You just need a pair of shoes. In some cases, you don't even need shoes. You can just go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
So it's just a very
okay.
easy sport.
7 marathons in 7 days.
Yeah. In 7 Emirates.
In 7 Emirates.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, keep it more interesting, right? I understand that the motivation was the fundraiser, right?
Yes.
But I mean, by day, the last one is easy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But in the middle, you have 2 or 3 done. You're in the middle of the 4th marathon, and you know that you have 3 days ahead. What is going on in your head at the moment?
I think a lot of people, like not a lot of people, but like it's one of those moments in my life. I think it's kind of came and went, and I didn't really reflect too much on it. But during it,
you can now.
I can now, a little bit more now. It was actually day 2 was the hardest because I'd never done back-to-back marathons before. So I did the first one, and I was like, "Oh, this is exciting! This is so much fun!" And there was a lot of support at the time. The first one I did actually was in Abu Dhabi. And the second one then was actually in Fujairah. So Fujairah, there was nobody obviously in Fujairah. So I felt quite, okay, I'm all by myself now running 43 kilometers. But the second one definitely by far was the hardest because that was the first time I'd done back-to-back running. But I felt once I got through the second one, I'd kind of broken the camel's back there. I was like, okay, now that I can do 2, I can definitely do 3. And then it just kind of fell down. Then I was just like, okay, now it's only this many to go, it's okay. So it got easier.
That's interesting what you said, because, okay, you say, I've done 2 back to back, I can do 3.
Yeah.
But it was 7.
It was 7. So
I think, like, how you not think of that? It's like, because when you do back to back and it's like, oh, well, this one sucked. Okay, the second one sucked. And like, okay, I can do 1 more, all right? But 5 more?
Yeah, to be honest, I think I didn't try and think too far ahead. And I think it's one thing that I think in any level of sport you compete at, or any sport that you get involved with, is stay present, stay in that moment rather than thinking what's next. So when you're competing or running or whatever it's going to be, you're playing a game, basketball or rugby, just think about that game rather than trying to jump ahead and think what's going to come next, because you don't know what's going to come next. So for me, it was like, get through each one as injury-free as possible and you'll get to the end. So I was enjoying the experience as well. So for example, like when I got to Ras Al Khaimah, it was very nice because loads of people came out and they ran with me. Like people I'd never even met before were just like jumping in at different points.
Oh, cool.
So that was really lovely just to have that.
You had like track, or you were doing it on some stadium in loops?
No, I beforehand I'd planned each marathon in each of the Emirates. So sometimes I was like 21 K loop twice. Okay. They're building it up. Mm-hmm. There was occasions where we had a big plan in our head, but then suddenly we realized it's road closures. We're like, oh, we can't go that way. We have to derail and go a different way. But as best we could, we did plan routes, trying to make sure that we knew what we're doing. Like also for like support vehicles, people like you want to come out and bring water or join at different points, we were able to plan ahead and let them know where we'd be.
So it wasn't only you running? It
was predominantly, it was just me. But like, as in, yes, people joined.
Okay, but you had like a team around you as well, right?
I had, at the time, 2 volunteer coaches. who jumped on board to support, and they helped with the water and getting me from each of the Emirates as well. And then at different points, then people came to join. So people actually drove from Dubai to come and join in and, you know, do a couple of kilometers, even that was a 10K, 5K, 3. But again, just having that support and those layers kind of, it just distracted you from what you were doing, and it was nice.
Okay. Nice. Yeah. Was it injury free?
Yes. Thank God.
And you were not taking any painkillers?
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that itself
was a miracle.
That's
it was
so impressive that you were able to do it without, because I mean, no offense, right?
Yeah.
But if somebody will dope themselves a little bit so they don't feel the pain, it's probably way easier to do it. I mean, I've never trained with drugs.
No.
And I never did anything this extreme. Yeah. But I can imagine that, okay, like a couple of painkillers because of, let's say, cramps, soreness, right? How sore were you?
Sore. I was sore. Yeah, like my legs, I could feel it coming in. But it was a type of soreness, once you got running, adrenaline kicked in, you just forgot about it, you know? But then later on that evening, you'd be sitting there, like ice, there's been a lot of ice on my legs kind of thing. I was like, okay. And I had the day before the last one, I actually had a physio who came and helped me, and she flushed out all the lactic acid and stuff.
And what the physio told you?
She was like, you're good. You're
okay,
good,
like,
Nick. Yeah, the muscles are okay. Like, you're just, like, as in with any runner, you've got a little bit of lactic acid, muscle tightness, soreness, which is normal.
If I am cold to a person who is doing such a challenge, it's like, can you help me with the movement, you know, and you know, or I see a massage therapist going there, you know, or a physio, I would be like, oh, there's no way they will tell you it's okay.
Yeah,
right?
I was doing okay, and I was there, and the biggest thing for me was actually just taking care of the body was the sleep. So that was really important. I felt like the sleep as well was just getting to bed really early and getting sleep. Food wise, my stomach in particular, I just craved certain foods. So everyone's like, you need to be eating this. And all I wanted to eat was salty potatoes. I'm like, I just want potatoes, nothing else.
Like with a salt,
with a little bit of salt on top. That was the only thing that I craved. Like everyone else trying to feed me, like, you know, this glucose stuff. And I said, no, I don't want any of that. Even when I was doing the marathons, I took on no sachets and no foods.
I would say that because we know that when a body is craving salty food, whatever it might be, you know, it can be the trash chips, you know, in the plastic bag, or you're saying salty potatoes, it's body asking for the sodium.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
And you probably needed that with all the, what weather was it?
We did it in March. Backside of
this March?
No, it was last March.
Okay, 2021.
This March I did 4 ultramarathons in 4 days to raise money for Here's a Hope.
Okay, we'll get there. Oh shit, I didn't expect it to talk about that. It's going very different than I expected. But okay. So a couple of more questions towards that 7. What was your best time? What was your worst time? I know that wasn't the concern at all.
No,
but
I kept the time pretty similar. So I was doing them within 4 hours. So it was like 3:58, 3:55, 4 hours marathons, and that was consistent through all of them.
So basically, you can say that you run around 4 hours for 7 days straight, and you randomly managed to cover the marathon.
I did,
time.
and I was just happy I came away injury free. Honestly, like yes, I had leg soreness, but that was normal. I was like, it's fine. I can deal with this. It wasn't injury. It wasn't injury at all. But like, don't get me wrong, by the 7th day, like standing up and walking was definitely, hard work. But at that point it was finished and I was like, okay, I'm good to go. Thank God.
When was the first workout after this? You finished 7.
A week later, I did a 10-kilometer time trial. It was like the following weekend. I took a couple of days off and then that weekend I did a 10K time trial. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Marathon, ultras?
This year? Yeah, so this year, the ultra marathon is 4 ultra marathons in 4 days, but in 4 different sports. So what I attempted to do was I did 50-kilometer paddleboarding around the Palm, and then I did a 150-kilometer bike ride, a 10K swim, and a 50-kilometer run.
Day by day?
So each, like one after the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, how was that?
The paddleboarding was mental torture. I won't lie, because
You're standing
standing paddleboard. So that was hard.
for 50 kilometers.
Yeah, that was really, really hard because of the you can't control the elements. So the sea at times were like very, very rocky, and where the palm is set, like I had to go to the outside of the palm, which was the sea was just so rocky and the waves were very high. So that was very tricky to maneuver through, and took a lot of upper body power, to be honest. And then when you go under the palm, like under the bridge into the palm, it completely dies down. The palm's very protected. So then you just end up with dead water. So it felt like you're sludging through like muck. Literally the water doesn't move. There's nothing pushing you, or you can't
No current.
Yeah, it was tough. So the paddleboard for me was more like a mental test than a physical test, to be perfectly honest.
That was the first.
That was the first one. And I was totally by myself in the water because of permits, nobody was allowed to join. So I had to just do it by myself. And every like 2 hours, a rescue boat would come by and just make sure I was okay, give them a thumbs up and keep going. So but it was nice though, because actually in the rescue boat I had some of the athletes from the program. They were actually in the rescue boat, so they got to see like what I was doing and all that. So seeing them during the ultras was quite nice, because that was motivating to kind of see
How long did the pedal took?
12 hours.
What?
Yeah, 12 hours.
I mean, I didn't expect that. I have no idea what
it was awful.
like what kind of distance you can cover, but
it was awful. 12 hours in the water, and I could have kept going, like, it was touch and go as well, like, so it was a tough one. And then you had to contend with the light, because then it was getting dark, and I was like, I need to get back. In the middle of the ocean all by yourself, like, it was like, I seen things.
Okay, and then
Next day, then I got up and I did a 150-kilometer bike ride.
Yeah, so the arms got the rest, right?
Yeah, that was the purpose. I was like, grand, just pump the legs, let's just go for it. And that was quite nice, because some of the volunteer coaches and some of the athletes joined for the bike ride, which is very nice to have that happen. But it was just very hot. That one was a hot day. That was the only thing. The heat there on that day was pretty intense. And then finally the next day was a 10-kilometer pool swim. So I chose a pool swim again so the heroes could join. So they joined in for a little bit of swimming, and I was just swimming in the lane next to them. They just did their thing.
What kind of... you didn't go non-stop, I assume.
Yeah, it was non-stop.
It was non-stop?
It was a non-stop swim.
No question.
Yeah, it was a non-stop swim. Like, there was no break.
I wanted to ask how you broke it down.
I didn't break it down.
I did once, Ironman in a team of 4 people.
Yeah.
It was like it was more like a social event and competition within the school.
Yes.
Yeah, and we were not like getting the teams ourselves.
Okay.
We were assigned by our teachers.
Right.
Based on capabilities.
Yeah.
They kind of wanted to keep the teams even up. We didn't know why we were with that people. Like, I'm the one who sucks in this too, or like why I am with these these 3 people. Yeah, and it was very nicely done that time, because we had the chip.
Yes.
On the ankles, and we were passing it by.
Okay.
So while you were resting, it was one working at a time, and like sprint, and then the next one goes and sprint, and next one. So you were basically, your rest was kind of 3 to 1. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we could see on the big screen where we are compared to the other teams, which was like very nice. Anyway, the swims. Yeah. It was 4K, and we were breaking down every 50 meters, like, pool there and back, next one. But it was meant to be a sprint.
Yeah. That's true.
How can you swim for 10 hours straight?
The swim actually took me 4 hours, 4.5, 5 hours. I think the swim took me in the end.
10 kilometers.
It was 10 kilometers, but it took, I think, 4 hours in the end, 4.5 hours in the end, non-stop. Just kept going. It was a mental thing. I was like, I just want to get this done. That's what I kept thinking. So I did. I just kept going.
Well, it's tough to talk with people.
I didn't. I just didn't. People just watched me, and that was it. Like, and I was tracking it on my watch as well. And then my dad came over from Ireland just to come visit during that time. I got him to count the laps as well. So he just sat there with his pen and notepad. He was like, okay.
Yeah, you don't want to mess that one.
Yeah, exactly.
You want somebody reliable.
Yeah. So between the watch and him, we got it done. But again, that was a tough one. I actually felt a bit nauseated after that one, because it felt like I was on a boat or something. I was like, oh, what is this? And then finally a 50-kilometer run to finish on.
50-kilometer run.
Yeah.
How did you? That was outside, I assume.
Yes, that was outside.
How did you manage with the sun? But like, just the first day, you went 12 hours.
Yeah, that was tough.
You got sunburn?
I had like the rash vest on and stuff, so I was okay, and I had a hat on and stuff like that. But for those 12 hours, like, I'll be honest with you, I didn't really take on much food. Water was the main thing that I was taking on. Yeah, because it's hard, because your stomach, when you do these ultra things, your tummy definitely goes into a whole other space. This is why I don't take on any of those glucose sachets ever when I run or anything like that, because unless you're used to that type of stuff or taking it on, it can really affect, your performance and your stomach. So you have to be quite careful with that type of stuff. So for me, mainly water, electrolytes was the key thing, and that was kind of what kept me going. So, yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to experiment in the race, something you don't know.
Absolutely. And for me, I really believe in natural foods and natural substance anyway. So I think for me, that's the best way to go. You don't really need the extras, because there's a lot in it, a lot of concentrated sugar that your body just in general is not used to having. So, yeah.
This is very cool that you saying it, it's not somebody from a lab or, whatever environment, from a classroom saying that, you should only eat natural food, because then people will be like, well, but, when I want to really perform, well, you really perform, and you don't take it. So that's a great example.
Yeah.
So you never have like any supplements?
Nope. I don't think any. I'm actually vegan. Yeah.
You are actually vegan?
I'm vegan. I'm vegan 5 years now.
Why? For the animals or for...
No, a bit of both. Initially, it was definitely mainly because I was living in the Middle East, and I didn't really trust where the source of the meat was coming from. Especially coming home from, living in Ireland, where you've got farms on the right and left of you, and the meat is just very fresh.
The farmers.
Yeah, the farmers and stuff but it's here, I wasn't really thoroughly convinced of the quality. Not I'm saying the bad qualities out here, but I'm just saying I just was a little bit cautious. I had two close friends at the time as well who I played sports with, who both were diagnosed with cancer at a very young age, in their 20s, and they actually passed away. And at the time, one of them was actually told to go vegan to help, just to cleanse the system and the processes that we are consuming through meat and other meat products. So, to be honest, I think through that experience and just in general, for me, I just felt like this high protein diet just wasn't working. There was something missing. There was something missing in my own performance in sport. So then I tried vegan just to see how I get on. And ever since I went vegan, it transformed me, I think, as an athlete and also mentally. I think 100%, I feel a lot happier. I know it's really weird, but yeah, I do.
I'm like a little opposite of vegan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It's not like I have meat every day. That's not true. For what I do, I have probably comparable to other people around, fairly low amount of protein on the paper.
Yes.
But I know what works for me.
Exactly. Yeah.
I still have around, let's say, gram of protein per kilogram of mass.
Yes.
Yeah. Which normally, everybody says, well, you need at least 1.5, 2. I don't believe that. But where do you get your protein from?
It's a tricky one. I do take a protein powder in the morning. I usually add that to
So you have some supplements?
And the protein powder is chocolate flavor. That's my only one that I have.
Okay.
The rest is all
vegan chocolate protein powder.
Yeah. I add that to the oats in the morning. And then after that, then all I have then is beans, literally chickpeas, beetroot, spinach, broccoli, kale. I eat it by the bucket load. They see me coming in Waitrose, and I literally get buckets of this, and that's what I eat. Yeah.
But that's a lot of carbs as well.
I love it though. I don't mind having the carb because I live a very high energy, active life.
Oh yeah.
So for me, the carbohydrate is actually my main fuel source anyway. So that's what I need. So unless I'm someone who really wants to build muscle or something, I don't. Yeah.
But don't. I always have this kind of dilemma because everybody from the endurance world, whether it's triathletes or ultra people, they are fairly high on carbs. Generally, they will say that that's their main fuel.
Yes.
However, and there are actually few very accomplished ones. I know about one guy from Slovakia. He is this speed walker.
Okay.
The weird hip movement and he was on Olympic Games.
Wow. Yeah.
In that discipline, so it's like he is he is a high level performing athlete, and he is on keto for the purpose of he wants to use as a main fuel the fat, because fat is supposed to be the long sustainable, right? And carbs, I mean, I would shot myself with carbs before hard intense training, like CrossFit type, you know, or sandbag strongman training. But I wouldn't really do it probably before a hike.
I know,
because there I don't really need
slow
that,
energy,
right? Yeah, exactly. So what do you think of this?
No,
because you kind of do it opposite way of how I'm thinking about it.
To be honest, like as I do eat, like, again, it's a high fat stuff like peanut butter, avocados. That's a huge part of my diet. And then so that type of stuff, I have no crumbs of conscious eating. I'm like, I'm going to eat that, you know. So, and also I'm a big believer as in listen to your body also tells you what it wants and what it needs, and I think it's really important. Like, so sometimes I do overshoot my body with carbs. I'm like, okay, I need to tone it down a wee bit today. You know, that type of way. I'm like, maybe I've taken on too much, or maybe the balance wasn't right that day or whatever. So I do kind of, you know, I think a big reader into your body, like listen to your body wants. And also, like, mentally, I've always tracked as well after what I've eaten the night before, say before a race or before a performance. And then I'd be like, that worked really well for me. I'm going to do that again. So again, as well, just think about what you're eating, be mindful about what you're eating, think about how your body reacts. And I think before I went vegan, I used to have like food hangovers. If I ate like a burger and whatever, some days I'd wake up and I feel really not very energy drained. I'm like, what is wrong with me? Like, and then I never realized the link between food and, you know, the energy and what was going on inside of you. So I think by going vegan and being a bit more mindful about what I'm eating and being a little bit more, I suppose, restrictive in what I'm eating as well, it has actually made me better through sport, I feel.
Well, I would say that 5 years being vegan and doing this kind of insane performances with getting sore, but nothing much else going on, right? That's amazing. Like that,
I'm very blessed.
Definitely works for you.
Yeah, definitely. Like, and I think that's the thing is I hear people who go on keto and they love it. I hear people go on keto and they don't like it. I hear people who are on really high protein diets and they, you know, their bodies are amazing. I've got other people who can't do high protein diets and, you know, they have, you know, they've got all different things going on with them. But again, I think our bodies are all designed to react to food in different ways. Just figuring out kind of what best works for you, just do it. You know, for me, it has been veganism. I like being vegan. It works for me. Like I said, I think even mentally, I'm just a happier human.
Are you this kind of a Nazi vegan?
No. Like in the sense of like, I'm
not
like,
too aggressive.
No, I'm really like, look, each to your own. Like you can't, like, the world is so big and people are so unique and they all have their own individual ways of doing things. Like trying to bash them into being a vegan, it's not going to work. You know, if that's something they choose to do, fine. If they want to ask me questions about it, I'll answer. But I really feel like that type of stuff is an individual decision. It's not my duty of care to try and change the world right now. You know, I will do that with Heroes of Hope, not with my food.
You're changing the world differently.
It's not with my food, but
when you did this, I would say extreme events that you designed for yourself, I assume.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
First of all, where these ideas are coming from?
When I go for my mindful runs.
Okay. So thinking when you are running, you're thinking about running more, and that's how it starts. All right.
Yeah.
What do you think? How much was it physical and how much was it mental?
It's always mental. For me,
Purely.
it's mental. Yeah. I think I've kind of learned through the years is your body will respond to your mentality. So if you're in your head, if you're like, oh, I need to give up, I can't do this anymore, you're not going to do it. But in your head, if you're like, nope, I can do this. I know I will do this and I'm going to do this. Like I will, I can, I must kind of attitude. You will get through it. And the body will definitely respond. But also there's also like, if for example, God forbid there is a severe injury, well then obviously that's completely different. But 9 times out of 10, when it comes to muscle soreness, even extreme muscle soreness or a slight strain, you can keep going.
Discomfort.
Like, you can keep going. Like come on, you can do this, you know? Like even this year, I ran a half marathon in Ras Al Khaimah and then I went to Abu Dhabi and I played rugby, like all on the same day. You know, so
your
body can do it.
Training.
Your body can do it. Like, and I wasn't until afterwards I told my coach, I was like, just let me know, I did actually run a half marathon this morning. And he's like, and he played rugby. I was like, yep. Because I knew if I told him he wasn't going to play me. So I was just like, I'm not going to tell him. So like, again, like my legs are sore from the run, but like, again, it's just a mentality. Like if you can keep going, just go and do it. Like you'll be fine. Die tomorrow.
Okay. Die tomorrow, not today.
Yeah, exactly.
When To what you were saying, that I believe it's very famous quote that there is a man who says he can't and the man who says he can, and they're both right.
Yeah.
So that's what you just said.
Yeah.
When you do this kind of stuff, like, don't you think that there might be some issue that you're trying to like deal with through all this? I don't want this to sound rude, okay? But what I mean that when you always looking for this kind of extreme and you always push and more, like, do you feel urge to do it? Like, do you feel like you're not doing enough, so you need to do more?
No, I think it's my mindset's more to do with gratitude. And I think by doing the work that I do, particularly with the athletes that I have, I'm very, very grateful that I do have a body that can perform through sport. I'm very grateful to have a mind as well that is healthy, and I can, think about what I want to do next and plan my training and put this all together. And I think as well, like, being the leader of the organization, I want to be that role model for the kids. And I want them to understand that I never want them to limit themselves, that anything is possible. So our slogan for what we do is, if you believe it, you can achieve it. And that's a big thing I want the kids to see and recognize. And also by me kind of putting on these like kind of craziness as well, is I always include them in what I do. So like, they get to be part of it too. Even if it's only a snippet, like even if they only run 1 kilometer with me, I'd rather they do that with me than be sat at home not doing anything. So it's all about kind of, no matter what I do, I'm trying to do it for them. I want them to have a bigger, brighter future. And that's my belief now in sport. Like when I was growing up as a youngster, like I always believed I was going to be this Olympic athlete, or maybe I'll go to the WNBA and play basketball. Obviously I'm very small, so that's not going to happen. But once a time, when when you're a little boy and girl, like, and you're dreaming about what you're going to do with your future, you always, especially if you're involved in sport, like you always saw these role models in your life, whether it was Olympians or Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, like these are always big people. You're like, maybe one day I can be just like them. But then as time has gone on, you realize the sport's very different and we're all very unique. And those opportunities may not come. For me now, my big belief is I was kind of blessed with the ability to play sport, not to be this superstar, but to be a leader for people of determination and to use all that experience to grow them. That's
still superstar, just in a different, on a different level.
Yeah, it's just kind of, that's what it is. I think that's what it's all about. It's about like using your talent, not necessarily talent, but using this. But I do believe it is a blessing, like, that I was born, to do this. I was born with this kind of purpose. And by using my purpose the right way, I can serve these children, these families, and give them a really fantastic opportunity. Because I wasn't just blessed to do one sport. I was able to have that flexibility to learn about loads of different types of sports and different types of training. And I've also very blessed to be around lots of different coaches from all over the world, not just from one part of the world. Like I literally have worked with so many coaches over the years that I've developed all this different concepts, experiences, knowledge. And by doing that, then I can take all of this and use this toolbox then to enable my athletes to be the very best that they can be.
Yeah, I think this explanation, you just, this a little bit deeper thought behind it. Yeah. It's super important, because when you will only hear about somebody like you doing what you do without that background and without that, like, you don't do it for yourself.
No.
Yeah. And that there is a deeper purpose behind it, not just, to put it on Instagram. I mean, like, I'm meeting you on a regular basis. I had no idea. I knew you were a little bit crazy with the runs and everything, because you just, like, you run before and after the class. So that was always your, your thing and your way in the gym. But I had no idea, that even though there are these super, challenging events, that it's not just you being crazy.
No, there's a purpose behind the thought, if that makes sense. And then trying to get the backing of the community to support it as well. And I think that's the hard thing. I think, like you did mention about Instagram, is Instagram can be used like either in a positive way, or it can become a space where people are advertising kind of what they're doing. Hey, look at us. But big reason why I have to do this as well is I'm trying to use the tool of Instagram as well to try and create more awareness. It's not actually about me doing 4 ultramarathons. It's about, hey, these kids have come out today and they've paddled with me. These kids came out today and they ran with me. These kids came out today and they swam with me. And they, it's about also demonstrating that the versatility of the heroes and what they can do. It's not actually about me. It's, hey, can you help us fundraise so we can continue to support their growth and development through sport. I'm just doing this to do because I can, but look at what these programs are doing for these kids. It's helping them learn how to cycle. It's helping them to swim. It's teaching them to run. It's giving them the experience on the ocean, which they never would have gotten. So if you can help us, we can help them. So this is kind of what the whole thing is trying to do here.
Basically, every question I asked you about you, end up talking about the kids, which is like that's it's very obvious that it all for you it all centers around them. But what do you do for yourself? You do everything for the project you have.
Yeah,
if we can call it project. I want to go into way deeper with it in a second.
Yeah.
But what you do for yourself, you do so much for the kids, so much for the project. Even you do run because you're preparing for fundraiser. You don't do it for yourself. You still do it with that background. Like, what is the one thing, at least one thing that you do really for yourself?
I think currently, like where I am right now is, I'm very grateful of being with the opportunity to play rugby for the UAE. So I'm playing now for the national team here. Yeah, so we're preparing. We're preparing to go to Jakarta at the end of this month. So for me now, like that was a bit of a breakthrough moment for me, like just to get selected for the national team. And for once, I'm actually focused on something that, yes, is for myself, but also for other people, like my team and the coaches. I want to obviously do them proud and work hard.
So that's not for you either.
But it is because obviously for me at this point, especially in my life, I thought, maybe I'm coming to the end of my career, in team sports and stuff. But to have this opportunity to get out there and to perform, obviously for the country as well, that I've been here for such a long time, it is a real honor. And I feel like, at an older mindset now as well, as you have a lot more gratitude and honor to step onto the field and to play for the team. So I'm doing that right now, and that's why I'm doing a lot more CrossFit, is to develop my physical strength and endurance for the game of Rugby 7. So we're preparing for that competition for the end of the month, and I'm just excited to be part of it and to have the girls around me. And I think that experience that you get through that level of sport in particular, it lives with you for a lifetime. It's amazing, just to get out there and do that.
Hollie, how old are you?
35.
You're 35.
Yeah.
Killing it every day. Well, yeah, sure, yeah. Killing it every day. About the rugby.
Yes.
How come you play for the national team? It doesn't need to, it's enough that you're resident or?
Yes. So I've been out here obviously 12 years now. So you have to be technically in the country for, I think, over 5 years to be even put in for selection. But the team is mixed. So we do have expats and we do have Emirati. So the team has got both. So we got obviously girls or ladies from this region, and also mixed in with us, which is great because it's all about, we're pioneering this sport. It is a focus place right now for the federation out here. They're really focusing on growing this sport and getting a lot more local people involved. And it's actually currently the number one sport in schools out here, in the local schools out here for girls. So,
oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought it's BJJ.
No, it's actually rugby at the moment is probably one of the highest sports that was participated in by the ladies out here and girls. So that's really cool. So it's definitely one of those sports I think is on the horizon out in this region. So again, to be a pioneer and being part of it is great and help this growth and to hopefully encourage more girls to get involved with it. And then eventually when I have to definitely retire, they'll hopefully take over and they'll keep going. But to be part of that, it's really cool. Yeah.
Wow. What would be like age average there?
Oh,
when you say you old,
we did.
And
actually,
you already talking about retirement.
Yeah, like honestly, I say myself, I don't know. There is a couple of girls a little bit older than me, even. Like I think 38. I think at the moment is the oldest, and then we're going. Our youngest player is 19.
Yeah. Oh well, that's cool.
That's cool. It is.
Yeah,
like,
because the younger ones can definitely pick up some stuff.
Yeah. So we've got some of the girls who are also on the under 20s team who are also playing for the senior women's team. So it is. And look, it's really great. Like, and
are there pros? Like they have it as a living?
Some of them are. Yeah, some of the local ladies are. Yeah, and not expats. We work.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just fine. But yeah, some of the local girls do. They do this as a borderline like full-time thing at the minute. So yeah.
How, not like it's important, I'm just curious, how many locals you have in the team?
It's split. It's half and half.
Half and half?
Yeah, so I think there's 6 locals at the minute. And
It's by default, yeah?
Yeah, I think there's 4 or 5 maybe. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it's about 5 locals and the rest of us are expat, yeah.
I just have a hard time imagining a local.
They're
ladies.
amazing. I love having them on the team.
I would like to see that.
having them there. Like they are wicked. Like they just bring so much energy and personality. Like it's great being with them, and it's also great kind of helping them along the way. Like so you can, teach them a few things so that they're better prepared, and because eventually in the end, like we will have to step away, and those girls in particular will become the leaders out here for this sport, and I'm excited for them.
How long have you been playing rugby?
I started playing rugby at university level. So I actually went to university on scholarship for basketball. But then I decided that I didn't want to play basketball anymore. I wanted to
that wasn't
rugby.
in the right moment.
It wasn't really in the right moment, but I was struggling a little bit at the university league. It wasn't really what I was used to. And then at that time, my housemates, they all played rugby, and they said, why don't you try rugby? And I was like, I'll try. My dad played rugby like for his whole life. So I was like, well, I know the game, so sure, why not? So I went down and I tried one day and I fell in love with it. I was like, yeah, okay, let's put on the boots, let's play. And that was it. So yeah,
it is fairly violent, right?
It can be. Like, I wouldn't say violent. There's a bit like BJJ, like there's a technique to it. Like, you have to, learn how to tackle the right way. You need to turn about. It's very strategical and tactical. Rugby is actually a game of intelligence. So you have to really read the game and understand what's going on out there. It's not a game where you just go in and see red and start beating people up. Absolutely not. It's actually quite a...
Can you simply explain me the rules? I mean, I know that you're running with the ball. It's similar to American football. And
you run forward, pass backwards. All right. Okay. So you got to run forward, you pass it backwards is a key rule. And then you also then obviously have the team in front of you, and they're getting ready to tackle you, but they can't tackle you high. So there's no, you cannot take your heads off. You tackle around the waist, around the knees, bring people down. And then once you get tackled, you have to place the ball, release the ball, and the next person comes, picks it up and gets going. So,
and so how the ball can be taken by a different team?
If they tackle you hard, or they, and they turn the ball over, they can just take the ball off you.
Oh, so they can take it.
They can take it.
So it's not only about stopping you. You actually want to.
Yeah, and then also there's obviously a lot of penalties and rules as well. So depending on what happens in the game, that's where balls.
Have you played Ultimate Frisbee?
I've played Ultimate Frisbee.
That's basically similar, right?
Very similar, actually. Ultimate Frisbee is very, very similar. However, Frisbee, trying to catch a Frisbee, a little bit different. But
you're passing forward,
you can pass forward.
But running... running forward, passing on the back.
And then, and similar with Ultimate Frisbee is you do have your try line. You've got your end zone, I suppose, and that's where you're trying to score, and that's where you're trying to get to. But no, rugby is so much fun. I love it. It is great fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, have you had any serious injuries?
No, thank God.
Good.
Touch wood. Yeah.
Nice.
Again, that's why people always say, oh my God, I've split my head open a few times just because of head collision.
Okay, so that's not serious injury for you.
It's not serious. No. Not compared to what some people come out with.
It's just
this.
Head.
I'm superficial injury, wrap my head up, let's keep playing. Yeah, so it's okay.
I've seen, it was very popular, this kind of a short clip of women's sport versus men's sport. Of course, they picked the extremes, right? So there was the first shot was how one of the soccer players is just running and then faking that he was kicked down, and then straight away cut.
I was in the rugby.
There's this rugby girl, So there was a guy, and then there's a rugby girl who will get hit. She's just walking towards the camera. She doesn't know, right? But it's a front view on her. She'll just spit huge amount of blood
and keep going,
turn, run, and keep going.
It's kind of the mentality. It's just I think maybe that's probably why I can do all these ultras and stuff. Is it's been trained. If you're only hurt, you keep playing. If you're injured, okay, fine, you can stop. You can play hurt, you can't play injured.
This is something what many people have a hard time recognizing. What is pain? What is discomfort? What is soreness? Where are the limits, and when I can and when I can't go? But it only comes with practice and experience.
And I think when I was a PE teacher, because I resigned from teaching to focus on the organization. Mm-hmm. And but I remember even when I was dealing with my students then they'd fall over oh, my knee, and I'm like, but you're okay, you can keep playing. And they're looking at me, I'm like, I'm serious. even from that, like a younger level, it's important that you teach them that resilience through sport and be like, look, yes, you may have got hurt, but you're going to be okay. You keep going, get up there and keep going. Because otherwise you learn and you develop like an internal weakness, I think sometimes on not even being aware of it, like subconsciously still a weakness kind of starts to grow. But if you like fall over, get back up, just keep going, just bounce up, you can keep going, you'll be fine. After 5 minutes, they forgot they even fell over, you know. Yeah. Like, so it's something that as well, just be mindful of.
I had one guy, like 13, 14-year-old, and I coach a couple of kids as well, and after a set of squats, he came to me and he was like, oh my God, my knee hurts so much. And I was like, oh shit, you know, like,
yeah, of course.
I was like, okay, so where it hurts? And he's like, this whole thing, you know. I was like tapping on his thigh. I was like, so like your muscle? He's like, yeah. I was like, good.
It means it's working. Yeah.
Shut up and go.
I said to him all the time, like, it means it's working. You know, it means you're in a good place.
Yeah, you know that we do it so it hurts this way, you know, like that's
otherwise
actually the point.
Otherwise it's not working. Yeah.
So that's a tough one.
It is. It's really, really, really hard. And I think sometimes even adults, like, who are only new to training or new starting their fitness journey as well, they find that hard. You know, they find it hard to deal with that. They're like, oh, I feel a bit sore today, I'm not going to come back and train. I'm like, get training. You have to keep going. Come on.
I was talking with one physio guy about this on the podcast as well, and we were talking about one case with Time I had in the clinic where a guy came on a wheelchair.
Yeah.
That there's something terribly wrong, and eventually after just talking to him, they found out he was training first time after probably first time in life the day before, and he thought he did something very, very wrong.
Oh
and
my gosh.
Yeah, so
yeah.
he was very sore. Like,
yeah, of course.
Yeah, that wasn't his fault. He was just not. He was not taught better.
He didn't know about the pain. Yeah, because like as we all do, like there's some days after a rugby game, I feel like I've been like in a car crash. I actually was in a car crash 2 weeks ago. My car got hit by a lorry. And my car was written off or whatever. And I went to rugby train the next, like literally straight after. I got my friend to pick me up and I was like, I'm still going to rugby. And she was even like, you've just had an accident. Like, do you want to go to the hospital and get checked?
You're okay?
I said, no, we're going to rugby. It's fine. Yeah, it's fine. But again, like other people probably would have went to the hospital. But I was like, but I'm actually fine. Like, let's just keep going here.
I mean, with a lorry crashing your car, I would maybe be like, a little bit careful with the whiplash.
Yeah, I know. I saw her neck like the next day, and I was like, "Is that rugby? Is that CrossFit? Is that the crash? I don't know, but I'll be fine."
so you basically made it impossible to even know.
Yeah, like I don't know
where it's coming from.
What's going on? But yeah, I think it's just when you play sport all your life, you just get used to it. It's like, oh.
So what happened in that car?
It's got written off, but it's getting fixed, and hopefully in a couple of weeks, back in action.
But I mean, like, how the accident happened?
Just a lorry was down because it didn't even look right or left. It just was coming out of a warehouse, and it just reversed straight onto the road, and it didn't see me at all, and just took out my Jeep.
And you hit him?
No, he hit me
from the side.
Yeah, he hit me from the side.
Oh shit!
Yeah, I know. Anyway, what to do? This is life.
Yeah, well, you're still smiling, so...
Yeah, and we're here. I always
probably
say...
they didn't hit you hard enough.
Exactly. And in my head, I was like, no, thank God, like, I'm okay, and I can play sport. It's fine. That's always, I always say to them, no matter what is going on in life, I'm like, it's okay. We're healthy. We can keep going. And I'm a big believer, like, your health is your wealth. You know, like, if you're healthy and you can get up every day and put 2 feet on the floor, like, you're blessed. You can keep going. Life is going to be good.
Even if car hits you.
Yeah, what can you do? These things in life happen. There's nothing you can do, you know. So, and as you know, especially here in the UAE, a lot of people have some serious car accidents, and you know they don't ever recover from them. So I'm just blessed that it's okay.
I've seen yesterday a very nasty accident.
Yeah.
One guy hit down the delivery guy on the motorcycle. These are bad ones, yeah.
So I just feel like, no, it's okay. It's a car. It will get fixed. Just leave it be. There's no point stressing over it. We'll deal with it.
You look at your legs. Okay, I can run.
Yeah,
I'm good.
yeah. I remember years and years ago when I was still at university, I went over to Uganda. I went over to Africa to teach. I was teaching. A group of 20 of us went out, and we're all trying to find different international experiences. So at that time, I did want to be a school teacher. So I said, I want to work in the local villages with these children. I had other friends of mine who want to be doctors. So they went and they were working in the hospitals. And then we're coming kind of towards the back end of the trip, and we all kind of gathered together, and we're in this bus, and we actually have been a major bus crash. The brakes on the bus broke, and we're coming down this valley. And if the bus veered to the right side, it would have went down the valley. But we got hit. Thankfully, inshallah, there was a tree. So the bus man, he hit the tree on purpose, and we had to flip onto the road. But it's in Africa, so the roads are not roads, right? So they're dirt tracks with like potholes the size of their house.
So he hit the tree, so he slows down.
So he could turn the bus over. Otherwise, we would have fell down the valley. So he hit the tree and we flipped over. But the bus is not a normal bus. It's designed like a military lorry. So it's like a steel bus. And like you have to go up a ladder to even get onto it. So I was flipped from the back of the bus to the front of the bus. And we all went unconscious, to be honest, but it's fine. And then most of us, we all just blacked out.
How many people are there?
About 21 of us were on this bus, but it was bodies everywhere, flipped this way and that way.
So I assume there were no seat belts.
There was no seat belts. But thankfully nobody was killed. So we'll count our blessings there. I was flipped from the back to the front, but I damaged my entire spine and my back. But I remember waking up because I couldn't breathe properly because the impact of the ribs had taken. And I remember waking up and I was just like, you could smell the oil. There's people screaming. And I remember waking up going, but can I move my legs? That was the first thought. And I said, can I move my legs? Legit. And once I could move my legs, I said, I don't care. I'll heal. I don't care if my back is broken. I know I can move my legs. I'm fine. And military crawled out of this bus. And there's another story attached to that for like what happened next. But thankfully it recovered fully and everything's fine. But again, that was another moment where I just felt like, again, just counting your blessings. That could have been a lot worse. We could have all gone home in body bags, but we're all alive. Yes, there's some injuries, but we're going to be okay.
I asked you like 10 minutes ago if you had any injuries.
Yeah. But that wasn't me. I just felt like that was just, again, muscle soreness. It's muscle soreness. It's fine.
So you forgot.
Yeah. So that
you had some helicopter crash as well, or something?
No,
like that,
thank God. No. That was probably one of the worst ones that we had. So yeah.
And so how it was like? So you obviously needed to get some help, right?
Yeah. So
21 people in major.
Yeah, it was a story and a half in the end, like, because I managed to crawl out of the bus, and then I managed to get my best friend out as well, and she damaged her knee and stuff, and there was like loads of people obviously.
And you were like, oh, I'm not the one with the knees.
Yeah, I was like, we're fine, everything's gonna be fine. Like, and then I don't know what happened, but like there was loads of like locals coming by obviously to help. There was local people driving by, and I ended up getting pulled into like a van with like all these local people and my friend, and we ended up going to a local hospital that was like a HIV hospital. So it was like everybody that was in the hospital was literally dying of HIV, and then there was us. So you can imagine like kind of the response that we got. And again, they had no resources, they had no painkillers, they had no way to like stitch you. Like, so one of my friends, she split her whole head open and they had no way of stitching her. There's no resources at all in the hospital. There was about 6 of us who ended up in this local hospital, but everybody else ended up in a Western hospital that was ran by Scottish people. So for some reason, they all ended up going to the hospital that had all the resources. Me and 6 others ended up in this hospital that had nothing. So it was, that in itself was an experience, put it that way. Because I had no painkillers. They had no way of stitching us. They had no way of checking if there was any damages to my spine.
So what were they doing? They
just sat there and they just went, you're in a safe place now. You're okay. Like, so we kind of sat there. My friend with the dodgy knee, like she actually ended up, I found money in my pockets and I gave her whatever I had. And she walked to the local pharmacy and picked up all the supplies that she could get, came back and gave it to the doctor in the hospital. And then he used that, whatever she had given him, to try and help us. So God knows what they gave me, but they gave me some sort of shot. I was like, okay, yeah.
Maybe some HIV medicine.
We have no idea. I have no idea to this day what was given to me.
I mean, like, what the hospital was there for when they had nothing to help you with?
Well, it was better than these people being on the streets, right? So they do have nurses and they do have doctors. So, they try their best with what they have to try and care for these people. So again, it's just an eye opener in life, right? It's going through this, I suppose, these experiences, like, you have to sometimes reflect and review and not think about the negativity. You have to think about, well, you know what? I've got these blessings. We have an abundance of healthcare. We have, if anything like this does happen, like, look at the resources we have to lean into. Like, and so many people don't have what we have. This is why I'm very kind of mindful and very grateful for everything that I have kind of in my own life. So
also,
it does help.
I'm not surprised how tough you are. It's like, after these experiences, it's like guys who are going for very hard, like military guys, deployments, and they go to terrible conditions, and they see, and sometimes they do horrific things just because that's what is going on there, right? And then they see the problems of normal people in civilized countries.
Oh, it's hard.
Like it's like you just like, are you really mad in traffic? Are you really like, what are you doing?
It's like, even for me, like I do find that transition sometimes difficult when I go home, like back to Ireland, because sometimes the talk that they talk about is so minute compared to what's really going on in life. And sometimes I find it hard to relate to it, because obviously a lot of people now are at that stage of life where they're buying houses, they're having kids, and they're complaining about, they don't have this house, they want that house. And I'm like, guys, you're in a great position that you can even have a home, that type of way.
Like what a great problem to have.
Like, wow. So I do find it hard sometimes to connect with people sometimes like that, especially after living away for so long and having so many experiences and meeting so many people who've been through other experiences and listening to their stories. And then it's one thing after another. So it is, I think, again, it just comes down to mindset. It comes down to life experiences and opportunities and stuff, like, and how that can just shape and mold you, either for the greater good or, other things. But for me, it's always been, I feel, for the greater good. Like, this is why I think I even left teaching, like to jump in and do what I felt was right, which was to serve beyond self and to help people of determination in this country through sports.
Go there. So going to Heroes of Hope.
Yes.
What is it? Like you said, you organizing these events, or even better, you work with autistic kids.
Well, a variety of kids with needs.
Variety.
Yes.
Okay. Can you describe it more? What is, because we want to integrate them, we want to give them the same experiences we have and everything, right?
Yes, of course.
But what is the difference? What are they different in from us that they need a little bit of more special environment and conditions for that?
Okay, I can focus a bit on the autistic athlete, but autism is a very broad spectrum. So you can have very high functioning autistic athletes and you can have those who are lower functioning. So it all depends because it's such a big range. But some of the common, I suppose, things would be some of the athletes are non-verbal, so they don't actually talk. You have a lot of them who suffer with extreme stemming, which means they could just freeze on the spot and they might just be pointing their fingers, or they might have to run around in a circle or spin. So again, you could be trying to teach them how to do a box jump, all of a sudden they're spinning around or running away from you. That's not because they don't want to learn. It's because the hyperactivity is going on in the brain, or there's a sudden surge in the brain where they need to move or do something unexpectedly. So it's just understanding the nature of the athlete and then working out different ways to engage them, keep them on task, keeping them focused, adapting the program so that, for you and me, we can maybe take on 4 or 5 key points at a time, no problem. For some of our athletes, they might only be able to take on 1 for the whole class. That's the difference. So you might end up having to just work on one thing consistently, and that could maybe take 2-3 weeks until they actually really grasp that skill, and then we get ready then to move on to the next thing. So all the athletes do work at different rates, they do work at a different pace. We try and develop the style of programming, so no matter what type of athlete we have coming in, whether that they are very high functioning, high performance athlete, or we could have a low functioning or new athlete come in. So we just adapt the programming according to the need of the athlete that we have coming in the door, and ensuring that everybody is included and everybody has a place that they can train and enjoy being part of. So that's kind of what we try to do. So it is a sports academy, like I said. So we just try and do that through all the sports and all the different levels of programs that we do offer. We keep adapting it to the need and style of the athlete that we have.
Okay, just this is all clear to me.
Yes.
I just have a still kind of hard time imagining how it practically actually works. Like, you have a building.
Yeah.
We walk in.
Yes.
What is going on there? Like, you have classes of different teachers doing different sports at the same time.
So I'll give you an example. So yesterday at Stance CrossFit, we had 4 athletes that came in, all have different needs. So one is autistic, one has autism and a physical disability. We have one who's high functioning, low verbal autistic athlete, and we have one Down syndrome athlete, right? So that's 4 different styles in one room. So Abdulaziz, who I consider like one of my high he's my ultra athlete. He's amazing. So he was lifting sandbags yesterday. He was lifting the 80 kilo sandbag, putting it on a box and pushing it off. We had the Down syndrome athlete. He was lifting a 60 kg bag onto a smaller box. So he wasn't lifting it as high. He was lifting it on a smaller one. We had the young man who's got a physical disability and autistic. Because of his physical disability, he doesn't like to lean too much on his leg. So he was lifting just like a 10 kg ball and putting it on the box. And then finally, the other athlete, again, he was very capable. So he was able to lift again another 60 kg bag and put it on the box. So that's just a really
good
mild
that we
example.
got all the bags.
Yeah, but good, that's just a really mild example of how you can just adapt it. So there's that. And then there's other things like yesterday we were lifting the bags as well and throwing it over the shoulder. So again, my high performance athlete, he could do it with the bag. So he was flipping it over. We had some of the other athletes who were doing it with like a slam ball, and they were, different weights of slam balls, and they were using slam balls. And I got other ones who are using wall balls. So it all just depends. They can still do a movement and adapting.
Like a scaling.
It's completely
like
scaling. And just giving them options, but making sure no matter what athlete you have, you need to understand them and be able to give them what's going to suit them and help them grow and perform. And it is about that. Like, so maybe like in a couple of weeks' time, we review that and did it again. We might be able to push them onto a heavier weight, or, they'll have a bit more confidence and understanding of the skill that they will know exactly what to do this time around, and we can then start to push them to the next level. So it's just, again, it's just having a class tailored to their needs rather than bring them into a normal CrossFit class, where they come in. And first of all, the noise would be too loud, so the music would be too high for them. They won't be able to cope with that. Too many people in the room. So again, that was going to put them off. And
fast pace.
Too fast pace. Even the loud voice of the coach can put them off. The independence, for example, you and me go over, we put our weights on our bar, we come back again. They can't do that. We have to, load their bar for them, make sure it's nice and safe and they're ready to go. So it's just adapting everything.
So when there was this example class yesterday.
Yes.
How many coaches you had for
just
them?
Me yesterday.
It was just
me, yeah.
And do you have any rule that after a certain number of kids you need to have another coach with you?
Yeah, so for example, in yesterday's class there was me, but two of them do have their own what we call an LSA. They have a support assistant with them. So LSA. So in schools I call that a learning support assistant okay. To help them with their learning. Mm-hmm. So two of my athletes have an LSA with them. So I say to the LSA, just, he's going to do this, but make sure he's working on this bag. And I teach them all together so they know the technique as well. So they also join in. They also help support them through their learning to making sure that they're doing it the right way. If they have a problem, I step in and make sure that, we can fix it and make sure that, they're doing it in a safe way. So again, it's just having the right environment. Because one of them yesterday, even for example, like he's my best athlete, but he got very agitated by the music yesterday that I was playing. So he started to have a little bit of an episode. So he starts throwing himself on the floor and getting a little bit upset. So straight away I could just turn off the music. I spoke to him. I said, the music is done. Stand up, do your work. And I have to be very militant like that. And he does it because the music was agitating him. It was a trigger. And sometimes for them, it could be something just like that could trigger them. It's
not like he wants to do the behavior. Yeah. It triggers.
It's a trigger, yeah. Mm. So there's things like that we just have to be mindful of, like what type of environment that we're setting up for them. As you said before, making sure we have enough coaches. At times, if we don't have enough coaches, yes, I will cancel the class based on health and safety. And all my coaches, God love them, they are volunteers. So they volunteer their time for those kids. And
all your coaches are volunteers.
We have almost 50 volunteers involve what we do.
50 volunteers?
50 adult volunteers, and we have 40 teenagers who come and help as junior coaches. So that's how many we have.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what it takes to operate.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we do.
And okay, so these kids.
Yes.
So you don't have like your central gym where everybody comes.
No.
You move.
We operate
around the
12 different venues at the moment we operate out of. But a big part, because he said to me, do you want to get your own facility? Yes, of course, that's the dream one day, to have my own gym. Everyone, I think anyone in the fitness industry, that's what they want, right? We always want our own hub and put our own stamp and our own character into it, right?
Your own culture.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I do believe that's coming. At the moment, we are looking at actually opening up our base in Abu Dhabi, and we have a space and everything there, but that will be for Abu Dhabi athletes. We're still here based in Dubai, but at the moment in Dubai, we operate out of 12 different venues. But the one thing what I really like about doing that is, for example, like basketball, like we have access to a proper basketball court, so they understand what it feels like, when the balls bounce and the echo that becomes normalized for them.
Yeah.
You know, rather than doing it like, I don't know, in an open space somewhere.
Yeah, like you would have to have like some super multi-functional facility.
Like, so like this for them is just a great way for them. And also then, like, this is where you start to educate and create awareness. Is sometimes when we're playing basketball with our athletes and we are adapting it, so we might bring the hoop size down. I might have some athletes who can't really dribble very well, so I'm like, okay, it's fine, just run with the ball and put it in the hoop. You know, at least they learn the concept of running up and down a court. You know, in time we'll build a skill of dribble. We could be on one court doing our games and adapting it to suit the style of our athletes, and then on the court next to us will be a group of kids who are just mainstream kids from the basketball club just playing, but they're looking over and seeing what we're doing and they think, hey, that's really cool. Like last week I had 2 young boys from the club come over to me and say, can I help you next year with your team? I was like, yeah, brilliant, would love you guys to come and help out. So this is what you're trying to do. Like, so if I had an isolated center just for my athletes, no one else would get to see them but my athletes, you know. But being actually embraced by the other sporting communities, like a basketball club, like at the CrossFit gym, you know, at the swimming pool, we actually use like a really nice swimming pool with Speedo. So being there and being part of the mainstream activities, and we're aligning with that, even though we're adapting it and scaling it for our kids and our athletes, we're still part of it, which is the best thing.
It's like part of the mission, right? To actually show people that it can be done and how it's done.
Absolutely. Like, and even what's happened is, which is really cool, is say, for example, some people have called the basketball club going, hey, do you have any sports for my child, but he's autistic? They're like, we have a group that come here on a Friday at 2:00. You can join them. So now all of a sudden, these families, where before when they ring a club and go, hey, do you have basketball for my kid? They're autistic. Like, no, sorry, we can't take him. Now suddenly there's a yes at the end of the phone. You know, where before there used to be no. So now
they refer to.
They'll say, look, listen, see, there's a club that comes here. They can work with your kid if that's what you like. Other alternative, we can offer, you know, maybe a 1-to-1 session instead. But 1-to-1s are great. But as you know, what sport is, a big part of the sport community is the social side of it, and meeting people, making friends, you know, building that character, you know, developing leadership skills. Like, that's so prominent in sport and very, very valuable. So, you know, now all of a sudden these families are getting access to that, and they, you know, have an opportunity to watch their child perform in sport, which I think is really, really important. Because I always emphasize with families being, you know, nobody, you know, expects to have a child with special needs. You know, some of our families, you know, they didn't know their child had needs until about the age of 2 and 3. So they'd gone nearly the first 3 years of that child's life, you know, not knowing that their child had, you know, something that wasn't quite right. And then they discover that their child is not going to fit into a mainstream world. It's, you know, it's pretty heartbreaking. And all of a sudden now something as basic as, can they even play football? Probably not. There's nowhere for him to go. But now through us, we're like, no, there is a place for him to go. Come, send him to us. You will get to watch your kid play football. You will get to watch your kid play rugby. You're going to get your kid to swim, you know, in a swimming gala. You will get to do that. Because those parents deserve that. They deserve to be on the sidelines cheering on their kid like any other family, you know. So a big part of what we do as well is just to give our families as well an outlet, so a safe space, so they can go drop their kid for a swimming club and go have a cup of coffee, or maybe go to the local grocery store and get their groceries in really quickly. Because, for example, some of our kids can't go to a grocery store. It's overstimulating. They can't go in. There's too much going on. It's really noisy. Some of our kids have OCD, so they have obsessions with food. So all of a sudden, for these families to go basically into supermarket can become a really hard task.
So giving them a break as well.
Absolutely. And also for the parents to lean into each other, you know, to talk about what's working for your kid. Oh, this is what's going on with mine. Have you heard about this activity that's going on right now? You should go, you know. So it's also building community as well, which is really important.
So usually the kids will obviously, they choose what they want to do, right?
Yes. Yeah.
With the cooperation with the parents.
Yeah, me.
And you offer, and you
you
offering how many? 12 activities you said?
No, we have 20 weekly 20 weekly programs.
So weekly program, let's say yesterday, what was yesterday?
So yesterday was Monday. We have indoor cycling.
So let's say
indoor cycling and CrossFit on a Monday.
Okay, so Monday, let's say CrossFit, sands.
Yeah, and they got indoor cycling.
This kind of like it's usually what 2 p.m. Right?
Yeah.
So Monday 2 p.m. sands. We have CrossFit. Yeah, bring your kid if you want.
Yeah. Then they have gymnastics. Mm-hmm. So we do like as an actual gymnastic club. So Simply Gymnastics do gymnastics with our athletes. Then we have indoor cycling that we do at Gymnation. So there's 3 activities in one day that they can
And
do.
they can pick. And then
they can come to all of them if they want to. We
Yeah,
don't
of
limit
course.
it. Yeah, we don't limit it. Like, so
Yeah.
for some of them, they come every single day. Some might only come twice a week. Some come once a week. So it all depends.
Okay, so this is all right.
But like similar to my only kind of rule is like, if you choose, like stick to it. Like, don't just go to gymnastics on Monday, the next Monday go to indoor cycling. I'm like, no, like you want your kid to develop and grow. So you need that continuation in the sports to make sure that if you choose it, you stick to it and you train at it.
And usually they're not great with changes as well.
Yeah.
Right?
So like, and that's the thing I always say to them. I said, look, there's no point you coming one week and not the next week. So you have to make this part of your lifestyle and your child's lifestyle, and you build that into your weekly program, the same way you do with their therapy and their doctor visits and so forth. I said you need to build us as part of that.
So basically, you created something like a class pass.
Yeah.
For the kids with special needs, right?
Essentially, yes.
When they have 20 activities per week, they can choose whatever activity they want, or maybe they choose based on the day they can do it, right?
Yeah.
But there is always enough options. This is amazing.
Yeah, and then we operate then often on a donational basis. So families then, if they think that we're doing a good job, they'll give us a donation towards what we're doing, and that helps us then to operate and to keep going.
So they don't pay you.
90% probably don't know. So that we do offer a membership, which we call a donational membership. So if the families, because the thing is with special needs is, and people overlook is, it's very expensive to have a special needs child. They go through like, so I've got, for example, one family was telling me they spend 10,000 dirhams a month on the needs of their child, just based alone on the therapy, trying to get them into the centre, school, even food, because some of them have specific dietary requirements and so on. And also some of them have to take medication. So having a child with special needs can be very, very expensive. And I didn't want our program Here Is a Hope to become another expense. So what we said is, look, if you're in a position, this is the membership, your memberships, whatever you pay will go towards the operations of Here Is a Hope. Anybody who cannot pay, don't worry, you can still come. That's kind of how we've done it. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So there is families who are really tight in the purse and just don't have that additional, money. It could be like, it's not even expensive. Like,
and do you, as an organization, have a different source of income to keep it running?
At the moment, we do not. No. So we're always open to sponsorships.
Yeah. Well, fuck.
Yeah. So we're always open to sponsorships. Like, some people have been really good. Like, we've said, look, we do need uniforms. Like, can you help us with uniforms? So I think it's Treyberg this year. They jumped on board and they helped us get them all like a t-shirt to train in, which is perfect. So thank you very much for that. Because that will help, obviously, because our kids are very, they have a very structured mindset. So they like to associate things. So they, I put on the Heroes of Hope shirt. They're like, okay, I know now I'm going to Heroes of Hope. So the shirt's very important. It's not just even about being, their kid. It's like, for some of our kids, especially the younger ones, they can identify and they understand, okay, I go to Miss Hollie now and I can do my training. So it's very important. The shirt's actually a very important tool. Then we have like other things. People might give us donations like, sometimes like they might donate the venue to us. They might donate some equipment to us and things like that. But it's hard. Don't get me wrong. It's really hard. It's a graft to stay in.
This is mind blowing.
Yeah.
You're like, I know you run a lot, so it helps you to.
Hence why we try and run.
It has to be super stressful.
Yeah, it is. It's really like, it's really hard. It is. It's
and
really,
still
really hard.
smiling.
Yeah. Like it is. Of course it is. Like it is really hard. But there is those moments like, and you're just kind of like, it's so worth it. Like when you see the community that we've built, like number one, the voluntary coaches are amazing. And I'm so blessed because they're all specialists in their areas. They all are highly experienced in the sport.
How you found 50 people?
Either through my own involvement in sport, and people who also just contacted me directly, and then I've gotten to know them, meet with them, and watch them coach, and I'm like, you will be really good with our kids. Let's get you guys involved. So it's kind of word of mouth and also just connections in this community. And some people have been fantastic, really they have, and just offloading their experience, and using that to drive our kids in the right direction. So I'm always so grateful for the volunteers that do step in and help us out. And these volunteers donate like every week. This isn't just like they're there for a day and that's it. Like they run a program like every week for our kids to learn.
Yeah, it's not just like I come when I want to come.
No, it's like that is the class that they're going to deliver, and that's on every single week. So that's why we've got nearly 20 programs running, is because these people are donating their 1 hour a week to us, which is fantastic. So we want that 1 hour a week. Sorry.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What is What would be a good way to help you?
Lots of ways. Like obviously like donations are always welcome. That helps us, like especially the financial donations, because that gives us flexibility then to be able to use the donations in various ways. Like because like even last week we did sports awards for all the kids, which cost us an absolute fortune, but it was worth it. Like, so, you know, we bought the medals, certificates, we got them all, like some of the kids who really outdid themselves this year, we got them a Champion of Hope t-shirt. It's a gold t-shirt that says Champion of Hope on it. So rather than give them a trophy, we wanted them to really understand like how amazing they are. So we got them a cool shirt, like, and stuff like that. We had to, you know, rent out the venue, we had to buy the food, like things like that can obviously be quite costly, things like that, you know. But sometimes having the financial donations allowed us to have that flexibility to be like, okay, we've got this event coming up, let's put it there. We have another event coming here, let's try and put that there and get that for the kids. Like, because even Christmas time comes around, we always try and put our best effort in to get all the kids like a gift or do some sort of Christmas celebration for them. So
Christmas party.
Yeah, pretty much, like, you know, like there's always things that can happen, even if it is like a donation of the space. Like, so babe, right, we have the space available at this time, do you want to use it? And suddenly you're like, actually, yeah, we could do that with this, you know, like, because we've always got great ideas and things that we want to be able to do with the athletes. Sometimes we're just limited on what we can do because of finances and because of venue space and stuff like that. But like I said, up to where we are right now, we've just been very blessed with the generosity of the community and people stepping up and allowing us even just to put this template in place. And hopefully now
wouldn't you be eligible for some like government support or something?
It's tricky. It's a tricky one. That's an area that's just a little bit tricky right now because, you know, it's just hard because as with anyone, like the governments have different agendas, they have different budgets for different things, and sometimes we don't fit under that umbrella. We're not always in a position to get it. So it's just, ideally CSRs is obviously social corporate responsibility is a big area that we do try and tap into. So if anybody has a CSR budget they're not actually using and want to see it go towards a great place, it's, you know, Here's a Hope is definitely one of those things, because a big thing by getting the CSR support is, if they are to give us financial donations, is anybody perhaps who works for that corporation, they can actually come and play with our kids and, you know, volunteer every week if they want to, and they can see then how the donations are being used and what's happening.
Like that, right? Like you can see it straight away.
Yeah, and then they can also like build a relationship with us, and they can build a relationship, more importantly, obviously, with the athletes, and so they actually build a much more personal connection rather than just giving a donation to anybody and be like, okay, it's done. We've done that tick. Where through us, you can actually see the value of it and how it's actually being used and how valuable it is to what we do.
How much do you think, or in what aspects do you think the sport helps these kids?
It transforms them. Completely.
Because it's very obvious that we want to give them the chance, right? We want to give them the chance so they have the equal opportunities.
Yeah, but I've genuinely seen these kids transform. I've like some of these athletes I've worked with for nearly 7-8 years, and I've seen them transform through sport. For some of them, this is all they do. That's all they can do, because some of them don't have the skill set or the life skills to be able to do other things, but they have the set and the skill set to be involved in our community. So they come to us every single day. They've learned, their speech has developed, their ability to socialize has helped them. So for me, they've totally transformed. Their behavior has changed, because before they didn't have a sensory outlet, so they might, you know, really lash out in the home. So they might like end up, you know, slamming doors or breaking windows and stuff like that. But by coming to us and being able to jump up and down, sometimes I do boxing with them. We do treadmill running and stuff. Just all that sensory connection, it helps with behavior. So they go home less stressed and a lot happier. So yeah, I've definitely seen these kids transform, like in all areas, their physical ability, cognitive ability, and behavior, which it's been really lovely to see that. Like, it actually makes you cry some days is how amazing they can be. Yeah, kids that never were given a chance have suddenly got chances with us. Plus, we also we participate every weekend with them. We bring them to events every weekend. So we actually participate in mainstream events. So like the super sports races are happening, we bring our kids and they race. You know, I had a kid there 2 weeks ago. She's 15, 16. She came first female for 5 kilometers out of the whole race, and she's competing against mainstream women. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So everything we do is through mainstream sports. We don't actually have sports for people of determination.
Well, that's the whole point, right?
Yeah.
To put it together.
And they do really well. They've like not this year, but last year they did the Garmin Quest Challenge, which is where they did a 13-kilometer mountain bike, a 5-kilometer trail run, and a 1-kilometer kayak, and they did all of it. Yeah. Everyone's like, there's no way they're going to do this. I was like, watch them. They'll do it. They're all doing it.
Hold my beer.
Yeah, I was like, they are doing it, and they went off and they did it. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, they had one-to-one support throughout the whole event. They had a coach with them the whole time, obviously with health and safety and whatnot. But they did it, and that was a very physical challenge. I think they're they were first group ever, people of determination, to do an adventure race and to complete it. So we were pretty proud of them. We had 11 of them that did that one. 11, yeah. Now they've run like Rasa Kema. They've gone to Rasa Kema a few times now, doing the half marathon. Now not the full half marathon, but they've done 10K, 5K, 3Ks and one. So they're very capable.
Do you sometimes have some negative responses?
Yes. Yeah.
What kind of?
Like I have, for example, there was one day I do one-to-ones with some of them because I just need that one-to-one support. And there was one day I've got one girl, she's got extreme autism. So she's very low verbal. Her behavior is very erratic at times. She's got OCD issues and stuff. And we were running down Kite Beach and this girl ran over and she saw this woman's water bottle and she tried to take it because this is just part of her OCD thing. She has a big problem with headphones. So she's got headphones on. She'll just try and whip your headphones off. And she's running down the beach at me. And then she went to snap this lady's hot water bottle out of her hand. The woman started screaming at her. Like, she's a 12-year-old girl, right?
12-year-old.
12-year-old. And I just looked at this woman and I said, first of all, she's 12. Right? Like you don't shout at a child regardless. And so second of all, I said, you don't see it because people don't see what autism is. And I said, she's autistic as well. She doesn't mean it. Here's a water bottle. Do not scream at her. And someone she kind of didn't know what to say to me, but like, that isn't the first time that's happened. Like there's another time again, the incident kind of in the gym, she did the same thing. She ran over and tried to take this lady's headphone and this woman started screaming at her. And bear in mind, like this girl, honestly, because of her needs are so extreme, like she's very low awareness even sometimes where she is. Sometimes I'm like, I'm really sorry, here's your headphones back. And she went mental at me and she actually complained to management. And I even said to her after, I said, look, she has autism, you know. I said, what she did is harmful. Listen, she hasn't hurt you. Like, there's no issue here. You just need to just be a bit aware that everyone's the same, you know. But like she was adamant like that we should not be in the gym, you know, that type of way. So
what?
Yeah, so it's just kind of like, yeah, people still don't have the education. They don't really have the understanding, awareness, or the patience sometimes for people of determination. So I can imagine if that's my experience, can you imagine sometimes what some of the families experience and how they feel? You know, sometimes they don't feel very welcomed in certain environments, or, you know, people stare at their kid for not being the same. And I'm sure for some of these families it isn't necessarily the nicest feeling. So again, through here as a hope, it's a space where we're trying to create a very safe, comfortable environment, and we are trying to educate the different venues and different people who use those venues about what we do. Now, don't get me wrong, that's very isolated cases. 99.9% of the time we are always welcomed, and we've had a lot of people applaud our athletes for their efforts, and that for me has been amazing to see those kids, you know, build in confidence and I suppose self-esteem when crowd starts to clap them and tell them how amazing they are, and they love it, you know, and they go away buzzing, like, you know, haven't had that experience. So
many times it's not something they're used to hear, right? Yeah.
So it's been nice, you know, being part of different events in particular, where, you know, we got recognition for our participation in that event. Granted, we're not winning, you know, but we're there, aren't we? And we're still participating and we're doing the same thing as everybody else. And often at the end of events, people come over going, what you guys are doing is great, or those kids are amazing today. Wow, like, didn't know you guys even existed. And I think there's those days where you leave, you know, as far greater than any sort of medal or trophy is knowing that you're started to plant the seed in other people's minds that, you know, hey, people of determination, people with needs, they can do this too. So we are the same. We just need to adapt.
Yeah. You know, like screaming at a child, put aside that, screaming on an autistic child, I mean, like, okay, no comment.
Yeah.
When I have some kids I coach,
yeah,
I said, and it didn't happen once, it didn't happen with one kid only, but, you know, positive reinforcement,
yeah,
they don't know how to react to it.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
like I told him, good job, and he just froze. Thanks. And I just saw like how super unusual was that to him?
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's probably every kid needs special treatment, but
course.
you know what I mean?
He's
what we would categorize as a mainstream.
Yeah.
Normal guy with a normal functioning, maybe a little bit highly demanding family, but still. And he wasn't used to hear, good job, or you're doing good.
It's important. Like, that's even with our athletes, because they read off your energy a lot. So if you are angry and you're shouting, like, and sometimes I do, because for health and safety reasons, I do get angry, like, but like, no, that's unacceptable. You cannot do that. I need them to read that, because if they throw a weight again, we've got issues. You got to think about health and safety, right? So there are some days where I'm like, no, but 99.9% of the time, it's all high fives, good job, you've done amazing. Even if it's the smallest thing, I'm like, oh my God, you're amazing today, or we'll do a lot of woohoo's and things like that, because I want them to read the energy of positivity, and they will respond to that, and they're like, oh wow, okay, I'm doing a good job. And if they get a positive thing, they'll do it again. Oh my God, they'll do it again, because they want that encouragement, they want that praise again, they want the high five again.
Well,
so,
we have that common with animals,
exactly.
Right? Everybody's working for a reward.
Exactly. Yeah. So you kind of, that's important too, what we do, just making sure that they are applauded for their efforts, no matter how big or small. So it's really important we do that.
What would be one thing not to do around them? Like, if somebody wants to, like, you meet somebody, you obviously see that maybe even, in a mall or somewhere, I don't know if it's too common to take them, or probably depends on the individual case. But let's say you see some maybe range being angry. Do you interrupt? No. Do you step in? Like, you let the parents, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of parents have experienced that negativity. Some of our kids can be very difficult, particularly in malls. They want everything they see, or some of them will have an episode and start screaming. Our athletes.
Okay.
Yeah, so they might go to the mall with their families, and our families, they've dealt with some very difficult situations where their kid could end up having an episode or a meltdown in the middle of the mall and start screaming their heads off, and their kid, as a mom, they got to pick up their kid and leave the mall really quickly. But the parents got a lot of negative feedback, because they're like, oh my God, what's that parent done to that child? Yeah. Oh my God. And it's like, no, actually the kid is just having a moment.
Like, I'm saving you from here.
And there's so many times for those parents, God love them, they just feel so, I suppose, embarrassed. And they also know these people are going, oh my God, what do they do to their kid? Because a lot of them do have a hyperactivity, and they tend to escape. It's called escapism, where they'll run away. You have to grab them sometimes, and you do have to lift them up and hold on to them. Otherwise, they're going to go, and it's more dangerous for them, obviously, to disappear, not just obviously in a mall, but across a road, or disappear out of a gym environment. So sometimes you do have to grab them and hold on to them. And sometimes you have to squeeze them as well, because of sensory issues, just to give them a little hug, if that makes sense. But to the naked eye, it's like, this is crazy. What is going on here? So, but realistically, like, say you're just in a mall and the kid's there, or an athlete's there with additional needs, you can always just go over and say, hey, how are you? And, what's your name, or something like that. Like, it's fine. And, or if it's a younger child and they're with their mom, and that they might be somebody with needs, go over and say to the parents, hi, introduce yourself, say, hi, I noticed your kid. Oh, he's really cute, or he's very good looking. Oh, he must really like this or really like that. Like, just kind of break the ice. So the family's like, oh, cool, nice. I think it's nice to acknowledge sometimes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I like. It's probably kind of a natural tendency. What I feel is that people just they have the looks, but they don't want to really engage or
mine's the opposite,
say anything, and they just not pretending they don't exist, but you
feel uncomfortable. It's just maybe uncomfortable. I'm not necessarily sure what to do, but I think for me it's a totally opposite effect. If I see somebody with additional needs, say in the mall or something, I want to go over and talk to them straight away. I want them part of my organization.
You run to them.
They're like, oh my gosh, you're probably a freak. I'm like, hi, how are you? What do you do every Saturday? Do you want to come? I have the totally kind of different experience when it comes to that. I have to try and hold back a little bit. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, obsessed. But it has happened in that regard. But no, it's just one of those things. I think it's just in time. I do think that the world is transforming. Like, things are progressive. It's coming a lot more accepted now. People with additional needs are and people with determination, particularly here in the UAE, you do see them a lot more now, and it's just normalizing it now. And I think that's going to happen. I definitely do. I think that everything will start to streamline very soon, and the world will become a much better place.
Do you have some like really, really high performing athletes who are also doing competitions and taking prizes?
Yes. So I do have a few of them now in the organization who would perform for Special Olympics UAE. So they do perform for the Olympic level of Special Olympics.
What sports?
Basketball. We've had basketball, we've had roller skating, we've had gymnastics.
And when you say basketball, is it the whole team or it's individuals?
Whole team.
Whole team?
Yeah. So for Special Olympics as a whole, like it's divisioned in Special Olympics. So depending on the ability of the athlete, they will division them. So you'll have some of them who can perform at a very high level. Let's give, for example, swimming. Probably best example to give you. So you have some of the athletes who are in Division A, for example, and they can compete, say, in 100-meter freestyle at pretty high level. Okay, probably better than you, me. Let's be honest here.
No doubt.
Yeah, then you're going to have, like say, a lower division, say Division 8, and they might just be able to do a 25-meter swim, you know? So, but it's divisioned depending on their ability, and times and all that will happen.
And who is deciding where they are assigned?
The officials. Okay. So there will actually be a day of divisioning first.
All right.
So they bring all the athletes in, they make them to compete first, and then they look at time, look at ability, look at different kind of criteria, and they'll say, okay, these athletes are all going to be at this level, all these athletes will be here, and so on. So then they're divisioned accordingly, and then they can compete. So yeah, so athletes can sometimes get selected based on what division, you know, these coaches might think they could be part of, so they can get pulled in then to compete at that level. So it all depends. So yeah.
Wow, cool. Tell me a little bit more how you started this, because like now it looks like, there's 50 volunteers, 40 teenage volunteers, and like you probably didn't start it with these numbers. So like how was the transition? You're a teacher.
Yeah, so a long story short, basically I started volunteering myself, like in and out of the centres, and I realised that these centres are not equipped for sport. And my health and safety kicked in. I'm like, I'm throwing beanbags, really. They had, this child could crack their head off a table, because I was in a room sometimes with desks, or, I was in like, some of these centres are like built in villas. So they go out in the garden and play with them, but the garden is tiny. So they'd kick a ball and it's gone over the wall now, that type of way. It wasn't really working. And I'm like, okay, this is not necessarily the best space for sport. Or if it was, I kept trying to change it and do like other types of sports, but it wasn't working. It wasn't a true experience that sports should be about. So there was one point where I was working at a school. I just basically approached them and I said, look, I do volunteer at special needs centres, but rather than me go to the centre, can I use the facilities after school on a Thursday afternoon? Because back then is when we had the days of the week was up to Thursday. And I said, none of the sports facilities being used on a Thursday. There's no after school club. There's nothing. Can I use the facilities?
So you checked their schedule?
Yeah, I was the PE
no
teacher.
Excuses.
Yeah, I was a PE teacher. I knew exactly what was going on. I'm like, well, what would you think of this? And at the time they were like, oh, but scared, but skeptical, because they're like the idea of kids who are not part of the school coming in. There was obviously a liability there, and then also they're like, oh, they also got needs, don't know about this. So it took a lot of convincing and hard work, but in the end eventually got the green light, and I was like, yes. And that was a transforming thing, because I actually started off with 12 athletes coming from a centre, and I just started doing like in the sports hall, just doing sports with them, like basic sports. And I got some of my girls who I thought like basketball and other sports too. I said, what are you doing on Thursday afternoon? They're like, nothing, miss. I'm like, come and help me. So they come after school and they start helping. And that's how the whole junior coaches cycle started to kick off. And then as time went on, then it just started to grow. So more and more word of mouth got out. So over a 4-year capacity, I started off with 12 coming to me by the end of that 4th year. And that's when I decided to leave. I had over 100 kids with special needs coming.
What?
Yeah. So what I used
and
to...
that time you were still a teacher?
Yeah.
Full time?
Yeah. So what I did was So I just came up with like a very tactical way of doing it. Was like I had over 100 kids from the community coming, and I had this whole school basically to use. And I was very blessed. The school had some very nice facilities. So I had a group that would go out for football, a group that'd be upstairs in the yoga room, a group would be in the gym, a group would be in the basketball courts, a group would be what else do we have going on in the dance studio. So I just basically put my athletes, my heroes, in different groups, and every 4 weeks I just rotated them. So then they just rotate around, then they do another cycle of a different sport, rotate and rotate and rotate. And that's how I did it then for the course of the year kind of thing. And then, so pretty much every couple of weeks I get a different taste, a different flavor of sport. But then I was like, this is great and all, but I want to do this every day, not just once a day. And that's kind of where that kind of started. That
you have this kind of need for more in everything you do.
Yeah, I think this is nice, but like, you just kind of like, I just felt like as well, they deserve better. They deserve more. And yes, that was nice, but no one really knew what we were doing.
But even starting with 12 kids, obviously, okay, you knew them.
Yeah,
because you're meeting them before. It wasn't just like from the scratch. But still, like taking them to a facility that you are given after long convincing, like that's scary. Yep. Like that's a big step, right? Like that's a big change.
It was a massive change, but it worked and they adapted really well. And, that's a big reason why more and more.
How many kids you have now? When you said it was 4 years in, now you're 12 years in, right?
Yeah. So I did that. I actually, that program really kicked off within my last 4 years of teaching. So I was teaching out here for almost 12 years. So so about 2019, that's when COVID kind of kicked in. That's when I gave up the teaching. And that's when
2019 you...
Just after COVID, because during the COVID time. Anyway, I'd already made the decision I was going.
Wait. 2020 was the COVID, so...
Yeah, it was around that. That was my last year of teaching.
So that was your last year of teaching.
Yeah. I also got selected, though, by MAN, which is the Community Development Authority here in the UAE. It is part of the government, and I got selected as an incubator. So they saw the work I was doing and they helped me try and get it as a startup and to get it going. And that's when I got a trade licensed and I started to put a bit more structure on it and turned it into something a bit more real rather than just an after school initiative.
Officially, you are like, association, non-profit or what is it?
So our thing is we do operate as a not-for-profit organisation for kids termination, and we're in partnership with the Al Jalila Foundation, which allows us to do fundraising. So all those fundraisers I was doing was in partnership with Al Jalila. So out here they do have a lot of strict laws around fundraising, so you have to be affiliated with one of the country's charity groups. So we are affiliated with. Yeah,
it's illegal to run your own charities.
Yeah, I can't
right?
just go fundraising purely for Here's a Hope. Like, and do something really public because I could end up with millions of dirhams and run away. So no, that doesn't work that way. So by doing it this way, everything is calculated and everything is done, with them, and they operate everything through their laws basically. So that's fine by me. I'm like, this is fantastic because it gives us the green light to go ahead and do the fundraisers and to raise the awareness and to do more for the community. So happy days for us. Like, I'm happy with that. So so that's where we do that type of stuff. So yeah, it's
so how many kids you have roughly now?
Roughly about 150 registered kids, and then on a weekly basis we have about 100 kids who attend the programs over the course of the week.
100.
Yeah.
So on average 5 per class, let's say.
At least, yeah. Some classes have up to 20, some classes have up to 15. It all depends on the popularity.
Okay, so you have also a cap on that.
Yeah, we have to. We have to. Just again for health and safety, and also the nature of the sport. Because, for example, we do Bollywood dancing. So for dancing, we can get obviously a few more in the
Bollywood
room.
dancing.
Yeah, they love it. Like, they love to dance. Like, not me. I go in there.
I would go.
I'm like, I've got 2 left feet.
No,
so
I would go watch.
It's great. Like, so for that one, I'd like to get a few more in there because that's the energy you can, and they're allowed to move and they can spin and they can jump and they can just be themselves and just do the music, and it's very nice. And then those who are a bit more higher ability, they can obviously follow the actual dance moves, so that's a bit different. But it just depends on the nature of the class, the nature of that sport, how many we can bring in.
Do you also have kids who are doing more than one?
Yeah, we got kids who come every day.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
they're like, I don't care what it is.
They train every day with us. Yeah, so like some of them, I see them every single day. Like, they're like my own children by this point. Like, I'm like, here they go again, which is great though, because by having that style of relationship with them, I know if they're having a good day, I know if they're having a bad day, I know if there's something not quite right with them, and so by having that level of relationship with them, I feel like I can give them more and I can actually prepare better classes for them because I know exactly who they are and who's coming every day and where we're at.
Do you have mixed nationalities?
Yes. Completely mixed.
Everything, yeah?
Everyone from all over the world. We are such a multicultural group. I love it though. It's fab. Yeah.
So sometimes you have also like nannies coming with them. Yes. Sometimes you have parents.
The nannies love it. The nannies love coming to us, and we make them coaches. We give them shirts that even say Coach of Hope and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, the nannies love it. This year, when we did our award ceremony, we had the Coach of Hope of the year, and I actually gave it to one of the athletes' drivers because he's been amazing. Yeah, he's his driver, and he joins in absolutely every single activity with him. Even at the weekends when we do the events, he's running 10K with this athlete helping him get over the finish line. You know, like, so the driver has got a free fitness program out of us. But like, in terms of, he's gone above and beyond. Like, he doesn't have to do that. Like, you know, he could just drop him off and leave him if he wanted to, but he doesn't. He stays, he helps. And not just that athlete, he'll stay and help the other athletes. And then at the weekends, he's driving all over the country with them, because we don't just do events here in Dubai. We sometimes go to Abu Dhabi, Ras Al Khaimah, Sharjah, different places depending on the event, and he's in that car driving that kid, making sure he's getting to do it. So he was amazing. Yeah. But
are you aware when you're saying this, you know, like, so many people around you, like, you got 50 volunteers, 40 teenagers volunteers, this guy who doesn't have to do shit and he's like, you know, fully on involved, like, you realize that it's you.
Yeah, I don't know.
You started it, and the energy and the attitude is contagious.
Yeah, you know? I suppose, well, from being in this environment for such a long time as well, particularly working in corporate schools and stuff, I think one thing when I stepped away from it all was I realized, like, the value of community and the value of people, you know, who do help and who do go above and beyond, is just having that gratitude for them and making sure that they know that their contribution is very much so welcomed, and we love having them there. And I think that's a big part of what I wanted to achieve through Here's a Hope, was having essentially this massive inclusive environment, not just for the children and families, but for everybody, you know, like, and I've had a couple of volunteers over the years who've come to me going through their own personal struggles, you know, in different ways. And Here's a Hope has been that shining light for them and has helped them get through that difficult time in their life. And I think for me, I've always wanted Here's a Hope to help not just the athletes, but actually go beyond to help the coaches and anyone else who wants to get involved, like, in different ways, because there is a purity to it. There is a bit of a magic to it, I think, because it's not Dubai. It's not really that flashy. You know, it's not all about the Facebook or the Instagram. It's actually, no, we're here to do something good here amongst this crazy world that we live in out here.
It's not selfies in Dubai.
No, it's not at all, actually. And I think for some people, we all kind of get carried away in our very busy lives, and we get caught up with money, we get caught up in business, we get caught up with what other people are doing. And but I think through Here's a Hope, we don't have that style. It's very much so you stay present in the moment with these children. And then I think a lot of people step away and they realize what they do have, and they're like, actually, what I have actually right now, it's really good. So I think, I think Here's a Hope is not really just for the athletes. I think it's definitely helped a lot of volunteers at different moments and different periods in their lives to, I think, get through some hard times, for sure.
And your volunteers are always coaches?
Predominantly, they're
teachers?
They're all over. No, we've got all different. All different. From
I want to ask, do you have some activity with animals?
No, but I do bring my dogs. Okay. So I don't know if you ever noticed on San's Instagram page, a few times I brought my dogs down to the gym, and they're like, some of them are petrified.
So canine therapy.
Yeah, they love it, like dog therapy. But like, some of them that used to be scared of dogs now are not scared anymore. And like, some of the other volunteers brought their dogs, and we do running events or outdoor events. They bring the dogs with them, and it's been really good fun to see the kids respond to animals. Like, one day, one of my kids, he doesn't like dogs at all. I said to him, if you don't run, I want to get my dog. And he's like, I'm running. And another kid, like, to get him to run, he was like, I'm only running if Hero is here. That's the name of my dog. My dog was called Hero. So I had to go get Hero, give him the lead. And he was like, now I'll run. And he ran with the dog, like, you know. So sometimes the dogs are just great for the kids in lots of different ways. I definitely know that's a big reason actually why I've got the 2 rescue dogs, is because I knew they were good with kids and I could take them to some of the activities that are outside with me. So there's times where you'll notice my dogs with those kids.
So you even got dogs for this reason.
It's a family. Yeah, what do you expect? We're a big family of hope. Bit of a misfit family, but it's definitely a family of hope, like, for sure. And that's like, we actually did an award this year for Family of Hope. So we've had like, one of the family in particular, like, they were going through like some medical issues this year, the mom was, and she's overcome all of it. And just, again, it's having the optimism, like, you know, to be a mom, you know, with a child with needs, but still continue to bring her child to all the programs, and she's going through her own personal stuff. I'm like, that's amazing, you know, that's inspiration right there. Like, so
I feel like from all of this, you know, like, you're getting awards to all kids, all volunteers, parents. It's like, you should get the award.
No,
really,
honestly.
Like, hey, this is mind blowing. What you do, really.
Thank you.
Crazy. Is there anything you want to add?
No, Not at all. No.
I just want to thank you so much.
Oh,
and for coming for sure, but mainly for all the work you do, because you're really changing the world.
Oh, I hope so. One day at a time.
For sure. Yeah. But that's slowly. Only way how to do it.
Yeah, it is. It's just day by day.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
It's been great.